Here's one strat for every map in Black Ops 6 ranked play. My name is Alyus, and I've been a full-time Call of Duty coach for the last 4 years, so if you're interested in coaching, check it out in the description below. And let's get right into the first map. Starting off on Barrage, you and your team are going to want to spawn on this side of the map the entire game because you have easy rotations to Hardpoint 2, 3, and 4. During P3, you can run up right here, and you can also see the enemies inside of the Hardpoint, and if they're playing the close quarter, you could throw a grenade through this window right here. During P2 on grind, there's this opening in the roof, and as long as you can land a nade in there, you can hit the enemies off of time. During P3 on grind, if there's an enemy in this head glitch, once you get him one shot, you can jump outside the map, rotate in a circle, and then take that challenge. You can do this from the other side as well, but I highly recommend jumping on top of the trash can and then hitting the route so you can make it. During Hacienda P4, you're gonna wanna rotate and get control of Lambo because the spawns at Lambo are much closer than the spawns at Boat. And during P4, if you ever find yourself spawning middle right here, you can push up and flank bottom line. And this flank right here works like a charm. They always spawn to your left. So right now, my team is spawning on this side of P4. So you can go middle right here, drop a grenade down into this vent, and it will land on top of the enemies. And then once those grenades blow up, you can then jump on top of the computer and then jump across and kill the last guy in the back. During P3 on Redcard, if you spawn in garage, you can call the elevator, hit the hardpoint time, and then if you end up dying, by the time you spawn in, you can go for this elevator and then hit a flank on the enemies. Now, this is very good because when you go for this flank, you flip spawns and then you get good spawns for P4. Now, during Skyline P2, if you don't have a teammate push out towards P1, these enemies will always be spawning over here at bedside. However, the second that you have one player push top cat, then this spawns all these enemies at grass. So I just killed this one enemy and I'm not going to push out until he spawns in. Now that he spawned in, you'll see that he spawns bottom bed. But now after I kill him bottom bed, he's going to be spawning at grass. Okay, now he just spawned in and now he's going to be hitting grass right here in 3, 2, 1. On Vault, during P1, if you ever spawn at P2, that means either an enemy spawned right next to you or there's an enemy pushing up this side of the map. One of the best things you can do is spawn in, rotate, and look for that kill. All right, I literally just spawned at P2 during P1, so all these enemies should be spawning right in front of me, and here they are. Now on dealership, this middle window right here offers a lot of crosses where if you run towards B, you can hold a pre-aim and look middle. Vice versa, if you're on the opposite end, you can also hold a pre-aim, look middle. And then of course, if you find yourself middle, you can also look for these gunfights over here at B. You can also see the middle cross from right here, but usually it's best to watch it from this doorway because you can see if they push out those middle doors. Here's the middle cross on defense. You can see the enemy names run across and you can call that out for your teammates. Playing inside of the middle window, you can also see an angle right here. Now in Hacienda SnD, I don't see enough people taking this water route. At this point, I can look for a kill on B, or of course I can go deep into the spawn and then I can just lay down in their spawn like this and wait for them to wrap back. And of course, if I need to make a play, I can always go towards top office and then pinch top office. Not only that, but on defense, you can hop into the water and then hop up on this rock. And then once you get to this rock right here, you can go ahead and hop up. And then if the enemies went B, usually you have a free kill off bomb. An enemy sits in this corner or this corner, and the last enemy usually sits in Lambo. If you're rushing A on Protocol SnD, I highly recommend to have this timing down, where right as you drop down and you get to this corner, if you pre-fire this angle, you will usually get the enemy one shot, if not kill them. And then the best part of all is if they are in the right corner, usually you can just slide in, go for that kill, and then end up behind them. On defense, if you want to counter that timing in A-bomb, you want to pull out your knife, jump over here in the left lane, hit a slide, and then get your grenade ready to throw in that angle that I just showed you. On Redcard offense, you want to plant the bomb right here because after post plant, you can go in this top window and then see the bomb all the way from over there. In this post plant position, you can now see the enemies on bomb and you can kill them off of it. And most of the time, you just need to hold your pinch if you have other teammates alive. Of course, if you have to defuse the bomb after the enemy's planted A, I highly recommend peeking this door open and then checking this back corner. And at this point, you can just bust open the door and then slide and then challenge the guy on the left. On rewind defense, you can throw a grenade from the SWAT van and land it on this car to try and get a first blood. But after that, I highly recommend sitting in this corner at burger and then holding the middle cross. So here's the grenade, and then you go and push up and you sit in this corner. And then now I just saw one enemy cross, two enemy cross. Of course, you can chase that. Just make sure you look to your right, make sure you're safe to cross. And then once you're safe to cross, you can go for these kills. And then if the enemies do plant B, I always recommend going for a wide rotation like this to see if anyone pushes through. And eventually you get to the point where you get to retake back from our side. Now, Barrage Control has some of the craziest spawn traps. On offense, you can sit in this head glitch right here, crouch, and then you can spam crouch to see when enemies push up. And the entire time, they just spawn in the back right here. Just make sure you look to your left and make sure you look to your right. Now on defense, you're gonna wanna go under this water tower, stand on these sandbags right here, and then you can strafe back and forth and just watch the enemies spawn in that little back hill over there. Now on defense, Hacienda Control, every kill you get, these enemies will almost always spawn at Lambo, and they're almost always gonna push through open to try to get to top office, or they could push through to try and go for spawn traps. So I highly recommend the first thing to do after getting kills, get to this cutoff point and you can play these kills. So after getting all of these kills right there, these enemies are going to be spawning at Lambo and they're going to be pushing right up rock right here. Now when capturing A, you can actually stand in this spot right here and open to give you a lot of cover. And you can also capture A while sitting on this ladder and pre-aiming top office with your pistol. Now on protocol control, one of the best things you can do is hit this underground route and control the building. And if they ever decide to either stack on A or try and stack on B, you can simply just pinch them from the base. And then here I am hitting the P4 route on defense. And the goal is to spawn trap the enemies in their base. But of course, if they do hop on to the A point, you can go curve and pinch them. But like I said, if the enemies are hopping on B, you can either go for a pinch from their side and try to look for the kill, or you could push up top middle and then pinch them from top middle. For vault control on offense, I highly recommend getting one player out into the enemy's base. Vice versa, if we want to get control of B, get this player inside of art, bottom art, top art, it doesn't matter. Have them spawn trap. So when you want your teammates to capture A, you can keep P4 pushed out and these enemies will always spawn right here. And then you can just spawn trap them. Again, you could go top P4 if you want to. You could sit on this truck. You could also just play back over here in these windows. And when you want to capture B, you want to get control of top art or bottom art. This will spawn all these enemies at scaff, and then you can just play for these kills. Again, if you don't want to play top art, you could play on the bottom right here. And of course, you can take another angle right here. That was one strat for every map. And if you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Other than that, please leave a like, subscribe, and peace.